Welcome, Moonflower Gal. I hope you're doing well. Welcome. You're doing great. Hi. Stroop Waffle, thank you. I hope you're doing great too. Hey, just another broke nerd. Oh, hey, Admiral Paco. Good to see you. I'm not gonna say anything about the contents of it, but I just want to say thank you for the email you sent me earlier. I appreciated it. This is just gonna be the whole stream, just me responding to the chat by just singing the entire time. Nah, that's not what it's gonna be, but that should be the, yeah, just, that's what I should do. I should just do a yoga thing, like, and now deep breath, find your center, imagine that you're warping into a field of stars. And then Janeway shows up and blows it up as you relax. Imagine that you're Tuvix being disassembled by the transporter, falling apart into two beings. Murdered by Janeway. Don't know why I'm in anti-Janeway mode right now. I love Janeway. Oh wow, an Arceus live stream. Awesome. All right, I should jump. I should jump over on so you can actually see me. All right, I'm wearing a cosplay. It's gonna be an interesting one. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hi. This, I know I look very. It's a kind of a dark cosplay considering that technically she's a villain, but yes, this is a Game of Thrones cosplay. It's one that I have from. I'm doing a video on Dark Souls for GameSpot. And I wanted to do it in costume, but the closest like medieval Dark Soulsian costume I have is like a Daenerys Targaryen cosplay. So take it as it is. Also this chain right here is supposed to be over here and it fell off, so it's supposed to be like looped around, but I accidentally broke it off, so I need to fix it. But that's the cosplay I'm wearing. I'm also wearing contact lenses, which is weird for me. Like actually, where the hell did I put my glasses? I don't know where I put my glasses. That's going to end up hurting me in the long run. Anyways, hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. If we were 2 weeks, we would deserve better. Hello, everyone. Yeah, someone said that they were new to the chat. I wanted to say hello to them. Who was new? Who said they were new? It was Moonflower Gal. Good to see you. Welcome. It's good to see everybody. Good to see everyone. Who else is here? Goes to the Gozerian. Good to see you. Amar, Dragon Rider 400, Adrian, Stuart Stave, Jennifer, Just Another Broke Nerd, Emily Chambers, T. Tazor, Don, Rattoon, Lewis Darden, Goes to the Gozer. And by the way, Lewis, thank you for the email as well. We're all good. I just wanted to send you a heart, Lewis. We don't need to talk about all that stuff, but I appreciate you sending the email. We're all good. Sending you love, my friend. Peter J. Normandin, good to see you. Kaman Ador, good to see you. Zombie Helper, good to see you. Joel, good to see you. Who else is here? Well, if I missed anybody, welcome everyone to the stream. Also, let me know if my sound and the music is loud or on the right level. But I hope everyone's doing fine this lovely evening or whatever time it is for you. For those of you who don't know, just to give everyone... Oh, Geek Filter, good to see you. I meant to respond. You messaged me late last night, Geek Filter, and I saw the image. It looks great. It's a really good image. Apologies I didn't respond. You sent it late last night, and I was, like, tired. And then I forgot about it this morning, so apologies. But I hope you're doing well, my friend. But anyways, just a quick reminder, or just letting everyone know what this is. Welcome to my chat stream each and every single week. For about an hour or so, I just hang out with all of you here in chat. We talk about whatever you all want to talk about. So, if you have topics or whatever, I just talk about whatever the chat wants me to rant about for a while. So if you have questions, comments, things like that, or just topics that you want me to discuss, I'm happy to hear them, and I'll talk about whatever you want to. The only other thing I'll say is super chats are greatly appreciated because they do help me pay the bills because this is my full-time job. But don't worry if you can't give super chats. I try my best to try and balance out as best I can. Obviously, I can't respond to everything, but I try my best. But super chats are appreciated. And if you do give a super chat, obviously I answer your question, give you a heart and affirmation and love as I do to everybody, and we go on from there. So that's how the stream works. Beyond that, whatever you want to talk about. Is the new setup audio is soft rounded tinnish? Maybe it's just my reception. No, there's something's been weird with this microphone the past week. I haven't changed the audio setup. Just something's been off with it. So apologies if my sound sounds a little bit weird. Maybe I can fix it a little bit while we're right here real quick. Sound. Let me know. No, that's that. Let me know if this helps a little bit, if it's just a little bit tinny. Because, yeah, I've noticed when I've done recordings, the sound has just been a little bit off. And I haven't been able to, figure out exactly why. So let me know if that works a little bit better for you. If that sounds better. But what else? How is everyone else doing? And by the way, Lee, thanks for that. Let's see. Aladdin is the first film I remember seeing in theaters. Dating myself a little bit. Wow. Ugh. How old is that? That was 1992, right? That's when I was born. Aladdin was when I was born. That's the year I was born, if that was 1992. The first movie I remember seeing in theaters, weirdly enough, is Space Jam. But I actually don't remember seeing the movie. I don't remember the overall movie Space Jam. The only memory I have of Space Jam is the opening credits of it, where it was the opening credits are just the basketball lights coming on, it's just a bunch of different lights, and it's just the opening credit sequence. And I remember as a kid feeling like that went on forever. I'm sure it's only a minute or two in actual real life, but as a kid I'm I'm so bored, this is taking forever, because kids' sense of time is nonsense. And so I was just so bored during that sequence, and then I don't remember the rest of Space. I remember loving Space Jam, I loved the movie, but I don't remember seeing it in theaters. So literally my first ever memory of being in a theater is being bored at Space Jam. So that's kind of funny. Ooh, Star Wars. Joel, that's a good first movie to have seen if you don't remember. Dynasty Girl. Oh, Jessie, I cried out of happiness. My extremely transphobic aunt used my sister's given name for the first time instead of her dead name last night. Oh, that's amazing. That's really wonderful. I love that. I mean, I'm sorry that your aunt is being transphobic, and I hope that this is a sign that is not going to be the case anymore. But that is always nice to see, when people start to, understand and appreciate, the totality of a person. So I'm really glad. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love to your who you said it was your sister, you said? Apologies, I forget who you said. My sisters. Yeah, sending you love to you and your sister, Dynasty Girl. That's absolutely wonderful. Oh, Edward Bedar, good to see you, my friend. Hello, sexy Space Ranger. Good to see you, Space Ranger, sexy Space Ranger yourself. Mwah. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well, Edward Bedar. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is another Morgan Bright. That is another really good movie to have seen in your in theaters. Fellowship of the Ring. Fellowship of the Ring was one of my favorite movies seeing in theaters. I would give anything to see the Lord of the Rings movies in theaters again. Legitimately, if they did a re-release of the Lord of the Rings movies now, I would go see it in a heartbeat. If I had to pick a movie to see in theaters again, it would be those. But I have such a distinct memory of them because I saw it with my dad and my brother for the first time. And there's that scene in the movie. I'm sure most of you remember this, but there's the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring where the Fellowship is in Moria and they're having that big battle, and there's the cave troll in Moria that they're all fighting. And there's that sequence where Frodo is hiding behind the pillar, and then the troll does there's a jump scare with the troll, sort of his head just popping out and scaring Frodo and the audience. And it's a decently effective jump scare. Surprising that they can do it in the middle of a big battle. And I vividly remember that because my dad was sitting behind me and my brother, and the moment the troll does the jump scare, he grabbed my brother and me. We jumped 10 feet in the air. And it's just a vivid memory. But that whole movie, I love that movie. It's one of my favorites. That's a great question, Steve. Ooh, Steve has a question? Sorry if I missed a question. Actually, that's a great movie to have first seen in theaters. Apologies if I missed a question from Steve. Besides Light, who is the most bastardly character in Death Note? Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I've read Death Note or watched Death Note, so you're gonna have to forgive me. I remember, I remember like the I always felt bad for the girl who like falls in love with Light, who like starts like is a huge fan of Light. I always remember being like so sad for her. I forget her name. It's been a minute since I've read it because I don't remember anyone being like I remember Light being like the worst person, like so full of himself, even though he like technically had decent motives, but like so full of himself and wanted to aggrandize himself. But I can't remember, like, I guess L is also kind of full of himself, and, like, L has his own sort of mistakes, but L is also the really interesting character. I want to watch those spin-off movies that they did. They did, like, spin-off movies with L that I would really love to see. So. I hope so, too, Lighthouseian. That would actually be wonderful. My memory of the Fellowship of the Leaders in the Ring is needing to pee for 3 hours. That's the worst! That's the worst when you need to pee. That's the absolute worst when you need to pee during a movie. Like, legitimately the worst. I hate it when you have to run out to pee. John Vinnell's heart to you, my friend. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, response to your Dark Souls stream with Aronach, Tolkien invented The Hobbit as a bedtime story for his children. Yeah, I did know that. I don't think we might have mentioned it. I forgot to mention it during the stream. But yeah, we were talking about why I have, I mean, you can't see it now, and I can't really roll up the sleeve to get there, but that's why I have the Smaug tattoo on my arm. I have the Smaug tattoo because my dad used to read me The Hobbit as a little kid, and it just became my favorite story and still is my favorite book to this day. I absolutely love it, and it's a common experience that many people get The Hobbit read to them as little kids. It was very informative to me. And yeah, it was a bedtime story that Tolkien invented for his kids, so that's like part of the whole impetus of it. Whereas Lord of the Rings, the book Lord of the Rings, were much more like adult-focused books from the very beginning, but The Hobbit was meant to be like a kid's book. So yeah, you're totally correct. You were totally correct, John. Keats Cast Heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate it, my friend. You said, oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm just apologies. Just some random name. You look so good, and the lighting is really good too. Well, thank you very much. I was having, I can show you all some fun that I had with lighting before the stream ends. Maybe by the end of the stream I'll show you what, because the footage is currently downloading, but it should be done. Because I was shooting a video about Dark Souls for GameSpot which is why I'm in this cosplay. And I just put away all the equipment before I got started, and the footage is currently copying over to my computer. But when it finishes copying and it says 20 minutes, I'll show you all a quick little image of it. I think it'll be kind of fun. I can show you what it looked like. I think it'll be cool. But anyway, sorry, Keats Cast. I was looking at yours. You said, dropping by to say hi and love you all. I won $200 in a contest and gave a tip to my wishes at my favorite restaurant. Keep the love going forward. Oh. That's absolutely wonderful, Keatscast. That's very generous. Thank you for also sharing that to me. That's very, very kind. What was the contest? You'll have to let me know what the contest was. That's awesome. Have I ever won money in a contest? I've won, like, I think the most I've won in, like, a lottery scratch-off is, like, I won, like, 20 bucks in a lottery scratch-off once, which is, like, the most I ever won. I'm trying to remember if I've ever won, like, contest money. I don't think I ever really have. Guess I'm not that good at stuff. But yeah, I don't remember. So that's gotta feel really nice. I'm like I feel like I must have, but I honestly cannot think of any. So, that's absolutely wonderful, Keatscast. Thank you so much for the super chat and for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Did you hear what Whoopi Goldberg did, says Miss Wicked Wolf? Yes, I did hear about that. It's interesting. I mean, I'm not the best. I'm going to be right up front and say I am not the best person to talk about this because I am not Jewish. And while certainly there were trans people and LGBTQ people that were harmed and hurt and killed during the Holocaust, as well as people of many different races and backgrounds killed during the Holocaust, you know, it's not one that I have like an explicit connection to. I don't experience that trauma as many Jewish people do, just through the generations and through their families and stuff. So I can't really be the best person to speak on it. That being said, and again, take my opinion with a grain of salt and listen to people more apt to listen to on this. Again, mostly Jewish folks, I would say, or people of color. But from listening to Whoopi, especially on when she spoke on Colbert later that night, the thing that struck me was I think that she is absolutely correct in the sense that, like, Jewish people's, you know, considering in race is a different experience than black folks. And I want to be very concise here on this. Let me make sure I say my words precisely here. But like Jewish people are still discriminated against, and race is kind of a made up structure, right? It is a colonialist structure used to subjugate and place people into boxes in different ways, shapes, or form. And while skin color is very much the way that has been happened around the world, not just in the United States, but it's very much centralized in the United States, that like Jewish folks were ostracized and attacked in the Holocaust, and they were racialized in a certain sense. And if you're talking about it from like a very sort of like what race is about, because race is there just literally to separate people and distinguish people based on different like unnecessary factors. So like again, you can quantify it and say it in different ways, and I think like what Whoopi was like, I think misunderstanding and not articulating and not really getting was that like I think she only sort of sees race in terms of, you know, a black experience, or more generally a person of color experience, when I think race can be defined in different ways depending on where we're at and which cultures and, you know, who we're talking about in what contexts and times and spaces. And I think that's what was sort of missed there, and I think that's like I'm not here to forgive Whoopi for anybody, but I think it was more like I just don't think she is thinking about that in that way, and I think that's where the failure was, and I certainly understand why people are offended at that. So that was my takeaway from it, of that conversation. Again, I am not the best person to articulate it, so I would talk to black people, I would talk to Jewish folks on that. They can probably speak to that a little bit better than I can, but yeah. And there's also Christy Abbey too, is like Christy, you know, is talking about white passing experience, and there's also a discussion of that as well. Like how does passing relate to this, in sort of the conversation. There's a lot to discuss within that I think like Whoopi kind of erased and ignored. I don't think intentionally, but still she's a person with a big platform, so it behooves her to be considerate in that. So yeah. Oh, and yes, you're correct, Gozer the Gozer. In German here, the original Nazi grammar framed it very much as a race struggle. That is true. So, like, again, what we're talking about, like, race is defined differently in different cultures and contexts, and race is a thing just used for power structures. Like, racial lines are created because of power. Like, it's just there to create power structures. Like, people are not different. The only differences that we see are ones created by usually those in power to help to keep their own power by dividing people and subjugating people in different ways based on random, you know, whatever random factors they wish to. You know, here in the United States, it was very much, I mean, it's in the United States, it's everybody. Everybody is marginalized in many different ways. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. There are many different marginalized groups. The predominant one is probably the black experience in the United States, but it's by no means solely just the black experience. Anyways, I want to make sure I get to some more super chats. So again, I will just end that piece of the conversation being like, listen to Jewish folks, listen to black folks on that. I've shared basically my opinion, but I think there are better voices to listen to than mine on that conversation. So Chloe Bennon, thank you so much for your super chat. Heart to you. You said, did you get my message about sending you the Conan Barbarian extended Blu-ray from Australia? No, I didn't see that, but I've been busy this week, so apologies if I missed that. Where did you send that, Chloe? But that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I have not seen Conan the Barbarian yet. I watched Willow the other week. I was debating between watching Willow or Conan the Barbarian. I ended up watching Willow, which I liked. I didn't love Willow. I liked Willow. I didn't love it so much. I thought it was a good movie. But I think my problem with Willow, having watched Willow before Conan the Barbarian, because that was sort of the debate, my problem with Willow, it was very good, and I actually liked Val Kilmer in it. I think he does great in it. I forget the actor who plays Willow. He does fantastic as well. I'm blanking on his name. He's the same guy who was Wicket, I believe. No, maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't remember. The gentleman who plays Willow was great in it as well. But regardless, my problem with Willow is that, like, it just didn't have, like, an edge to it. Like, everything felt fairly standard. And when you look at, like, other fantasy, like, sword and sorcery movies of that time, A lot of them also were fairly standard. Like, you look at, like, The Dark Crystal, it's also fairly standard. You look at, like, Labyrinth, it's also fairly standard in the story that it's telling. It's not really doing anything new, but each one of those movies, like, had a thing that gave them an edge to it. So, like, Labyrinth had David Bowie. So, like, there was, like, that David Bowie presence that, like, added something to that film. Or if you look at, what was the other one that I said? There wasn't the other one. There was another one that I said, but there's an edge to that as well. Like, Warwick Davis, thank you so much. Warwick Davis is fantastic in that. But, like, I forget what the other Sword and Sorcery one that I literally just mentioned was. But regardless, like, those movies, like, had, like, a little, like sprinkle of something, like fascinating, or, like, had, like, an edge to them. Whereas Willow didn't really have that. Willow was just kind of played straight. And I think that comes down to Ron Howard. Ron Howard is, like, he's such a nuts and bolts director. He's such a nuts and bolts director. Like, I don't, like, Ron Howard can be very, very good, but he's very much like, get it done. He's like the workman of the director world, right? He's like, I'm going to come in, roll up my sleeves, get this job done. It's going to be competent. It's going to be good, but he doesn't, like, add, like, he just doesn't have the Ron Howard, like, feel to it. There's, like, nothing that he, like, perspective that he adds. It's just, like, he does the job. And it's not bad. His movies are great. Like, Apollo 13 is fantastic. It's not like he's a bad director. He's just, like, very straightforward. So yeah, I think that was my problem with Willow. It was a good movie, but it just didn't have anything that, like, made it stick in my mind. And I heard people saying it is getting a reboot on Disney Plus, which I'm excited for, because I'm curious to see what bringing it into a modern day will do. But anyways, Chloe, thank you so much for sending me the Conan Barbarian. I'm excited. I will definitely be watching it. Thank you very much, Chloe. I appreciate that. Geek Filter, Heart to You said, we did that to some loud people in front of us in our second time watching Jurassic Park. When the guys our phones on Ellie, we dropped our arms on them from behind. They were quiet the rest of the movie. That's hilarious. I hate loud people in a movie theater. Like, what I love about movie theaters is people reacting to the movie, like in moments where it's like, gasp, things. Like, I love that. When people are talking during a movie, I can't, like, I love being in the presence of an audience. I experience a movie, but when you're distracting from the experience and, like, talking and stuff, most anger-inducing things. So, yeah, I feel like you can scare people a little bit if they're being jerks. I think I did. What was the movie? I watched a movie with some friends. I went and saw, I think was it Rogue One? It might have been Star Wars Rogue One. I forget exactly, but I think it was Rogue One, where there were just two girls, teenage girls, just talking the entire movie. And I got so angry that I just, like, stood up and I was like, walked over to him and was like, hey, stop talking. We're trying to watch a movie, like, in the middle of it. And I'm not very a confrontational person, but I'm like, I'm watching a movie. Movies are my special space. This is the thing that I like to do. Please don't ruin this for me. You can chat. I make jokes to my friends. I whisper in my friend's ear and make jokes. I'm a little bit of a movie. I am a movie talker. I talk during movies. But there's a difference between, like, whispering and, like, being really loud. So it's a whole thing. Carlisle Cinephile, heart to you. Thank you so much. I saw your Vox Machina review, and I got asked, who was your favorite party member? Yes, but for those of you who don't know, I watched Vox Machina. I released a review over on my second channel. I don't remember his name, but the dude, I don't want to spoil, but the dude in episode 3 who has, like, the main arc in episode 3 was my favorite guy so far. Because I just think he's interesting. But again, it's only episode 3, so I don't know his characters. Let me see if I can pull up who the character's name was. I did like the Bard guy. He was really great, too. I did love the Bard. He's like the guy who wears the glasses. Lord Silas Bright. No, that's the bad guy. Main characters. Where's the character list? I'm sorry if I can't find the name character. Where is he? Oh, Percival. Percival. I liked Percival quite a bit. Percival was great. He would be my favorite so far. Percy. Thank you, Morgan Bright. Yeah, Percy. Oh, thank you, Cappuccino Crafts. You look, I wish I could tell you look pretty. I can't see you, but I appreciate you saying that I look lovely. You look lovely. Mwah. Appreciate you. But yeah, Percy, he was my favorite just from the first episode. But again, it's a little bit of a bias because he's the character who gets the most development in the first 3 episodes that I saw. So it's sort of like, of course I probably would like him most because he has the most development. But I liked where his character currently is at the end of episode 3, I was like, ooh, that's very interesting. I'm very intrigued by that. So I liked Percy quite a bit. They're all really interesting, though. I was very pleased. Outside of the first few moments of Vox Machina, the first few minutes of Vox Machina, I was a little bit like, because it was like a bit crude for crude's sake, which I get. I as a D&D player, I am a horny D&D player too. Half my D&D campaign is me attempting to sleep with every single monster that we encounter. So I get that a little bit, but the first few minutes of the episode were just like, look, there's naked women. Look, there's sex. Look, there's rowdy jokes. And I was like, I hope that this show isn't just like a bunch of crude jokes for crude jokes' sake, but it wasn't that. It was actually very good storytelling, very good character development. The humor was really funny. And yes, the crude humor is in there, and I appreciate it from time to time. I just dislike things that are just like, we're going to be crude just to be crude. It's just like, we're going to be adult. Which was part of my problem with Love, Death, and Robots' first season. I feel like Love, Death, and Robots' first season was good, but it just had a lot of that like, look, we're going to shave naked people because we're adult. Which was a bit distracting. And so I think they managed to make a good balance. So, all right, let's see. Just catching up on some super chats. Or catching up on the stream. Oh, Selkie, good to see you. Heart to you. Mwah. I hope you're doing well, my friend. The Harry Potter Go mobile game shut down a few days ago. Hooray. I mean, yeah, J.K. Rowling doesn't need to make any more money. Hopefully the people working on the game are still doing all right, though. It's one thing that's sad about stuff with J.K. Rowling is, like, I don't really support the Harry Potter franchise much anymore, and the Harry Potter franchise has kind of sucked anyways after the 7th book anyways. And there's a lot to talk about within the Harry Potter franchise itself as problematic. But like, I just get upset that there are people whose, like, jobs sort of are dependent on Harry Potter right now, and because J.K. Rowling is being a horrible person, just, like, are in danger. Their lifeline, their way of making money is in danger. Like, the people making the Harry Potter video game just have to deal with all this crap. That's not their fault. They want to make a fun little Harry Potter video game. I'm sure it was something very exciting to them when they started it before J.K. Rowling said stuff, and now they have to have their lifeline sort of taken away from them. So, sucks. It shows how J.K. Rowling, how transphobia doesn't just hurt trans people. It hurts a lot of people. Not to not centralize trans people in that conversation, but, like, someone being a jerk hurts everybody, not just the direct people being attacked, though it does hurt those people most directly. But it hurts everyone. Because humanity is interconnected and we all affect each other, even though some people like to say that we don't. Because we're a community, and that's the important thing. Catching up, sorry. Got some more super chats here. Twitter DM. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you so much for your super chat. Heart to you, my friend. Heart to you. And I'll check my Twitter DMs. I didn't see that, but I'll check it out. Thank you so much, Chloe. It was a cute movie. Willow was a cute movie. Dark Crystal. Thank you, Lightsaber. Dark Crystal had, like, that movie was full of edge, right? That movie was, like, the story of Dark Crystal, fairly standard, like, dude who just, like, wants to go on a quest to save the world. He's the chosen one. He saves everyone from the dark sort of castle sort of thing. Very standard story. But, like, the puppetry in it, the Skeksis were definitely, like, intriguing. So that's what made that fantasy, like, world work, as opposed to, like, Willow, which, again, not a bad movie. Like, but it's just a very straightforward film. So that's what I was thinking. Dark Crystal, like, clearly has an edge to it, even though the story is fine. Same thing with Labyrinth. Like, David Bowie adds that edge, even though the story is fairly standard. So, like, and that's what Willow, I think, is missing. Like, Val Kilmer does his best. Warwick Davis does his best. So there's nothing in that movie that's, like, just adds a little bit of panache to it. So. Oh, thank you very much. Hello, HD. You look, I wish I could tell you, you are gorgeous. I'm just like, I can't see you, but I'm sure you're gorgeous. Hello. Mwah. Sending you love. John Vinnels, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, should there be a film version of The Forgotten City? I don't think so. I love The Forgotten City. Don't get me wrong. But I that's a game where I think, like, it works best as a game, because it's about, like, implicating you in that. Like, the whole point of Forgotten City, for those of you who don't know, Forgotten City is a video game that I really, really love. I've talked about it in a few of my other videos, but it's a game all about, like, sin and discovering. It was my favorite game of last year. It was my favorite game of 2021. The whole purpose of the game is you end up in a world. I won't go into the nitty gritty, but you basically end up in a world where it's a small society of about 20 people, and if anyone commits a sin in this world, then everyone dies. And so your job is to investigate, because you have seen the future a little bit, why you know that someone's going to do that. So you're sort of investigating who's going to commit a sin and what's going to cause it. So that's sort of the investigation of the game. But the game starts to make you interrogate, like, questions of, like, what is a sin? What does it mean to commit a sin? There are people who are put into indentured slavery in this world. Is that not a sin? How is that not considered to be a sin in this world? And so it's an interesting sort of ways to figure out that laws. And I think part of the way the game works and why that story works is because you are also in it, and you can make these things too. You can, in the game, you can instigate stuff by, like, attacking somebody. So I think it's it's an interesting like discussion of that, and I don't think it would work as a movie because the whole purpose of that game is to like you get to discover it and you're part of it. And so I don't think Forgotten City would work as a film version. You could maybe explore similar themes in a movie, but I think like taking the Forgotten City and translating it to screen, I think would take away from what that story was. So Spanker4612, I'm not a fan of big reactions in theaters. A friend of mine jumped when the alien suit opened in Independence Day and he was an inch from hitting me in the face. That's a bit much, to be fair. But I will say some of my favorite moments in theaters are like collective experiences. The first Avengers movie was that for me. I mean, basically Avengers and Avengers Endgame both were like big experiences for me in a theater. Even going to see, I think one of my favorite movies of all time that I saw in a theater was the second Hobbit movie. Not because that movie is particularly great, though I do have an affection for the second Hobbit movie, but because I saw it in college, and like, it was at the end of, like, that movie came out at the beginning of the summer. So I was actually spending the summer at college with some friends because we were doing some work there. So it was like, about 40 people, and I knew all 40 of them, went to a theater, and we like were just 40 people in a movie theater, all knew each other, watching The Hobbit on the big screen. It was just so much fun. It was easily one of the most fun I've ever had in a movie theater. I just adored it, even though that movie was okay. Again, have a soft spot for it, but I loved it. Another good one was Star Wars The Force Awakens, another movie that like, okay movie, but the experience of being in that theater with that movie really elevated it to something special for me. I remember like once the movie was over, I had a friend of mine who we all saw the movie at the same time. She was like up at like, cause this movie theater was packed for The Force Awakens. And my friend was sitting like up, and we didn't even go together. She just happened to be at the same showing. And she was like way up in the corner, and she knew I was a big nerd. And so when the movie ends, I just saw her run down, and the credits are rolling, and we're staying after the credits, and like everyone's sort of sitting down and talking about it. She runs down, and she's like, "What did you think of the movie?" And we just had this whole conversation there. And it's just moments like that you don't get when you view a movie by yourself that like really makes me love the theater experience, that you just get to share it with people. Again, you all know me, like my whole thing is like I love community experiences. I love experiencing things with other people. Even though I have social anxiety, I love getting to be around other people. And so for me, the movie theater isn't just like the best picture or the best sound. I do like those things about a movie theater, having good sound and good like screen, but I have a decent sound system and a decent TV. I can get that at home. What I appreciate movie theaters for is getting to just experience it with other people. And I think that can be what takes a good film to a great film in your mind and really just change the experience for you. I will never forget watching The Hobbit, the second Hobbit movie, not just because The Hobbit is important to me, but because of that experience watching the film. So that's my feeling about theaters. I just love it so much. Ooh, Zola. I want Looney1023. I want to see Zola. I've heard good things about Zola. It's a good movie. I've heard. I have a screener of it. I got sent a screener of it, but I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I do plan to. We get the Academy Award nominations next week, which I'm excited about. Carlisle, the Cinephile, heart to you. You said, to those less familiar terms, he is known as Percival Frederick von Meusen Kowalski de Rollo III. Hopefully, I probably mispronounced some of that, but that's lovely. That sounds like something Vox. That sounds like a Vox Machina joke, like just a really long name, like just ridiculous name. Knit and Crochet Tiger, heart to you, my friend. You said, everyone, please like the stream. Everyone, every like helps Jessie out against the evil algorithm, and don't forget to set reminders for Matrix. Oh, Knit and Crochet, I read your comment because I just saw the word Matrix, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about the Matrix. I didn't expect your message was going to be supportive. Thank you so much, Knit and Crochet Tiger. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, my Matrix video comes out tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. Some of you probably already saw it on Nebula and Patreon, but it's coming out tomorrow morning for YouTube. Very excited for all of you to see it. Don't forget to check it out. It's already the link is already up. Please check that out. I'm very excited to watch everyone's reactions to it in the premiere. So very excited about it. Let's see, Armored Wing Films, heart to you, my friend. Thank you so much. Would you be open to collaborating? DM me. So Armored Wings Films, I actually don't know your work. I wouldn't be against collaborating. I want to try and collaborate more. Something I've tried to be very clear about is like my hope for you know, this year, my aim for this year, besides like doing better videos and being more ambitious with my videos, is start to collaborate with more people and have people, especially people from not my perspective, come into my videos. So I'm trying, like, I've reached out to a bunch of people. I mean, I hope you already see it in my Sex and Star Trek Part 1 video. Like, that was very much, I try to reach out to people who did not have my perspective and identity. Come in and like add their own, you know, thoughts to the relevant stuff that I was talking about. So I want to collaborate more, and I'm reaching out to more and more people, and I'm open to people wanting to collaborate with me, but I don't know your work, and I also just want to make sure I just like know people and know what their work is before I say yes to collaborating. But feel free, like, DM me. You're welcome to DM me and email me, and like send me some of your stuff and like what you do and like talk about. And yeah, for sure, I would totally be down to collaborate, like 100%. Like, please just send me some email. Otherwise, I reach out to people for when I have a relevant topic that I think that maybe they'd want to work with me on. But that's something that I'm like actively working to try to do. So there we go. Jewel asked, does the Matrix video have spoilers? Yes, sadly it does. The movie kind of. Well, I give plot synopses in the videos to help people remember. The movie does somewhat require that you watch the original movie to be able to like fully get the context of the film. So apologies on that front. But yes, it's sadly that's going to be the case. Let's see. Have you seen footage of the original actor who was cast as Kivas Fajo in The Most Toys? No, I haven't, Rowan. I do. The actor who plays Kivas Fajo in The Most Toys is actually really good. I remember he's been in a few things. He's one of those actors that's been in a bunch of things. So I actually haven't seen the original version of that, whatever the original actor was. Interesting to hear what happened when they recast him. Actually, that character was brought back in a Star Trek Picard novel earlier this year that I really, really loved. If you love Star Trek books, there was a Star Trek Picard novel focusing on Rios, the captain of the La Sirena, not the La Sirena, captain of La Sirena. There was a book focusing on him, Rogue Elements. It was an excellent book, like one of my personal favorites. And Kivas Fajo was in that book, played a big role in it. Also, hey Newt, hey bud, Newt, a random Newt appeared. So let's see. I did see Age of Resistance. I love Age of Resistance in Crochet Tiger. Thomas Ford, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, hey, Jessie, JW, I don't know what JW means, but did you end up beating Halo Infinite? If so, your thoughts on the story. Love what you do. I finally finished, I did finish Halo Infinite. Ultimately, I have to say I was a bit disappointed in the story and the game overall. I like Halo Infinite. I liked it quite a bit, and I think it was a strong direction for Halo moving forward, and it has me very excited for Halo moving forward. I think the changes they made were like the open world, the action, the grappling hook especially. I love the grappling hook. So I think a lot of what they did in Halo Infinite was the right direction. But the game itself, I feel like, needed a little bit more. First and foremost, I'm not going to do a full critique on the game right now, but like I think one of my biggest things was like the world and the levels felt very samey. The open world was great for what it was, but it was all mostly like wooded forest. Like, it was just wooded forest stuff. And if you go back and look at the original Halo, in fact, all the Halo games, but especially the original Halo, which this game was sort of evoking, there was a lot of different... you gonna come up? Where'd you go, bud? Come on up and say hi. There were a lot of different, like, areas in that game, right? Like, there was a snow area. Come on. You gonna come up, bud? There was like a snow area, there was like a island area, a forest area, an underground area. So there was a lot more like just different like areas in that game, different types of world. And Halo Infinite didn't really have that, so I kind of got a bit bored by the levels, or by the world. And then the levels themselves are just like underground, like you'd go underground into the Halo ring, and it was just like underground Halo corridors, which also felt very samey. It's not that they were bad, it's just that it was just kind of redundant over and over and over and over and over again, the same exact thing. As for the story, I actually thought the story was really good, and I won't spoil the game's story at all here, but what I will say I was a bit disappointed in that I was a little bit disappointed in that I feel like the most interesting and important parts of the story happened before the game started and after the game maybe in a sequel, but like the things that I seemed most interested in that the story was setting up happened like before the game started, which was weird because the game opens up, this is the first 5 minutes of the game, like it starts, I think it's like 6 months or however many, like 2 months beforehand. and then Master Chief gets knocked out into space and then gets woken up. And then all this stuff happens in that middle ground, and then you wake up and you're sort of uncovering it after the fact. You're sort of learning what happened afterwards. It's sort of like a little bit of a mystery of like what happened while I was gone. And that can work, but ultimately what it made me feel during the game is like, I wish I was experiencing that. I wish I was there for that. And like some of the things that happened in that sequence felt like I wish I had been there for that, because I feel like Master Chief would have been an important part of that story. And so it's just weird. It was just a weird choice, because it's not a bad story. I just wish that it felt more like present, as opposed to like in the past. And so that was my biggest disappointment with it. It's not a bad game by any means, but I think it is like the most solid 7 game I have ever played. Like, it is not bad, it is not great, it is a solid game that has me excited for Halo moving forward. Like, I like this direction, but I feel like the game itself was missing a few things to really knock it into great territory. But it was solid in of itself. So that's my quick thoughts on Halo Infinite, if you're not getting my full review of it. But that's my quick and dirty thoughts on Halo Infinite. Catching up on some thoughts here. Bronze Eagle Productions, hard to you. It'd be like making a Bioshock movie. It wouldn't work without you being the main character in the role. Yes, exactly. That's the thing that people like. You're talking about Forgotten City, comparing to Forgotten City. Yeah, the whole point of Bioshock, again, without spoiling too much, but like the whole like revelation of the themes of Bioshock kind of hinges upon the big twist in it, and the big twist of it only works with the fact that you are playing the game. And so the whole game is a commentary on agency in video games, and then equating that to Ayn Randian objectivism. So it's like a critique of Ayn Randian objectivism using video games as the metaphor, like agency in video games as the metaphor for how that's like understanding and working through that system. How really when you think you have agency under systems like what Ayn Rand's objectivism would have you say, you really wouldn't. That there are people in power just manipulating and controlling you. And that's reflected in how the game utilizes the fact that you are a person playing a video game, but a video game that has been catered to guide you along a certain path. And so that's the brilliance of Bioshock, where it actually marries the idea of video gaming to its themes and ideas and political critique. And so to take that and put that in a movie, I think would dilute what makes that game great. That's not to say you couldn't tell an interesting Bioshock story. I think you do something interesting in that world and that aesthetic, but trying to do a one-to-one, like take the game story and make it into a movie would just destroy what that game was trying to say and do. You can still, that being said, I would be fascinated to see a Bioshock movie that was like about something else, like maybe the fall of Rapture or something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. But if you tried to do the story of the game, I think that would that just inherently be setting yourself up to fail. So. Oh, Logan Mansion Gaming. Oh, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. And like the new name. Punk Rock Zoologist, heart to you. Thank you so much. You said your cosplays look great, and by the way, good to see you, Punk Rock Zoologist. Your cosplays look great, and I can't wait to watch reviews of Boba Fett. I'm loving Tamar Morrison, but the last 2 episodes were Yeah, I won't get on this rant too much right now because I've talked about it enough in my reviews of the show, but it just is kind of frustrating to me. Like, don't get me wrong, I won't spoil too much of Boba Fett for you, but the last 2, I think it's fairly well known, the last 2 episodes of Boba Fett have not featured Boba Fett, and it's been very frustrating because, like, on the one hand, everything that those 2 episodes are, I loved. I think they are some of the best Star Wars that has happened under Disney. Not the best Star Wars ever, but under Disney, and especially in live action, they've been fantastic. The character who shows up at the end of that's the last episode of Boba Fett was so cool to see in live action. I was so excited. And some of the other stuff that I think that like they're using nostalgia, but subverting nostalgia to say something about the character, where these characters are today, I think is great. What frustrates me, though, is that the show is not a Boba Fett show anymore. And what frustrates me more is I see a lot of people saying criticism, well, they were like, to defend these 2 episodes, they're like, well, Boba Fett wasn't really that interesting of a character anyways, and so you can kind of see with these last 2 episodes that they stopped caring about Boba Fett because he wasn't that interesting. And I'm like, I don't disagree with you. Boba Fett was not an interesting character in the original trilogy. But the show, for 4 episodes... my problems with those episodes aside, in terms of their flashback structure, the benefit of those episodes was they did make him an interesting... I was interested in Boba Fett. For 4 episodes, they made Boba Fett an interesting character. And then, for the last 2 episodes, they completely just ignored him to do their Mandalorian 2.5, which I've loved, don't get me wrong, but it just distracts from what they had been telling me. The story that they had been telling me. And it was just frustrating because I'm like, I liked his character. I liked what this story was doing and saying and trying to get to. But then they just seem to not care about it. And so I get frustrated with people saying like, well, Boba wasn't that interesting of a character to begin with. And so that's what they're doing. It's like, but they made him interesting. They sold me that they were, like, the whole point of this show was selling me that they were going to make Boba Fett interesting. And they did that. And then they said, nah, never mind. And I was like, no. That was so frustrating. So it's just frustrating. It's a frustrating experience because I like everything. I like everything that they're doing. I love everything that they're doing, but I don't like them in the package that they're selling it to me in. That's my problem with it. It's just frustrating. I haven't watched Just Another Broken Heart. I have not watched Leverage. I heard that there's a lot of track crossover, if I can speak. Frakes directing, Will Wheaton. Yeah. I've heard that. I've not seen Leverage though. So. Ooh, that's always fun. Cam Adar, apologies if I say your name wrong. Not related to the conversation, but I just finished breaking on my Xbox controller to clean out the buttons and bumpers I wanted to share. Oh, that's fun. I've broken over. I mean, I have a lot of control. I have some controllers like over here and stuff. I have a whole box of old controllers like GameCube controllers and N64 controllers, and they get some crusty and nastiness, and it's actually kind of fun to take them apart and clean them out. Jeff Sturm, thank you so much for your super chat. Heart to you. You said, I saw one of my own movies in an indie theater. I wasn't in it. It had a producer's credit. It was an indie film called Confused by Love. Oh, that's awesome. I have not had that experience yet. I want to have that experience sometime, Jeff, where you get to see a movie and you get to see your name in the credits. Maybe one day I'll be able to be in a movie theater and see my name in the credits. I hope to, but sadly not yet. That must be a really nice experience. I can bet. Sorry, catching up on some of the super chats here. Michael Anderson Doyle, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat, my friend. He said, "All hail Queen Jessie. I loved what I've seen of the Matrix video and love to have more critics see it." I hope so. Well, thank you very much. I hope critics see it. We'll see what people say. Like I said, I hope like the whole video, the main point of the video. There's a lot in the video, like a breakdown of the politics of it, but I think like the overriding message of it is that I feel like a lot of people missed what the movie was trying to say because they only saw the surface level, and that how I had disappointment in the overall reaction to the film because I feel like the overriding reaction to the film was very surface level and missed a lot of what the movie was trying to do and trying to say, and only taking the movie on the surface level for what it was doing. And that frustrated me because I thought there was so much more there, and I thought it did a disservice to the movie, to the Wachowskis, to a lot of people, especially to me, trans people specifically, considering this is like one of the few big like blockbuster movies that trans people got to like have a voice in. So it just made me sad that like some of that stuff was missed. And so there's a lot, like I break down all that stuff. There's more to the message than just that, but like the video is me being like, this is what this movie was trying to do, and I was saddened that people kind of missed that. That's not saying that people had to like it, or that they were dumb or anything like that. I'm not here to say, like, you have to like The Matrix or you're stupid. That's not my point. My point is just, like, I feel like there's a economy of film discourse that's just, like, try to have quick reactions to a film without actually doing the analysis of a work, and that's what ultimately disappointed me. Because I feel like there's so much more to that film. Johnny Starro, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate you. You said, hey, Jessie, hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sending you love, my wonderful, wonderful friend. Babylon 5, and Anna Lurie, Babylon 5, best TV show of the 90s. You should make a video on it. I love Babylon 5. I might be doing a podcast about it in the near future. Just saying. I might be doing a Farscape podcast right now. And that Farscape podcast might be near its end because we're almost done with the show. And they might be doing another show after that might be the last best hope for peace. So, Anna, if you want my Babylon 5 thoughts, you're going to be getting them. Don't worry. They will happen. Carlisle the Cinephile, I'd love to see you collab with Lady Knight the Brave. Yes, I would love that. Lady Knight the Brave is fantastic. Who, by the way, had a great video that came out today that was about, like, Holocaust cinema. So speaking, we were talking about Holocaust stuff earlier today with Whoopi Goldberg and things. And, I said you should go listen to Jewish folks about the Holocaust. You should do that with Lady Knight the Brave, who, by the way, Aronach is also, I just see Aronach in the chat, who works with Lady Knight the Brave and is a wonderful, wonderful person, has been on this channel several times now. Lady Knight the Brave did a fantastic interview with a someone who does a lot of, I forget the gentleman's name, but he does a lot of literature and study of Holocaust cinema. It was a really good conversation and video that I highly recommend everyone check out. And I would love to work with Lady Knight the Brave. Lady Knight the Brave was in my Sex and Star Trek video, and I would love the chance to work with Lady Knight, because I think Lady Knight does fantastic freaking work. We'll see if that actually happens. It'll probably depend on, you know, if something comes up that we both want to work on together, but, you know, I love Lady Knight, so I'd highly recommend her stuff. By the way, Cappuccino Craft says that anyone read House of Leaves? Yes, I'm not going to talk about it here because there's a lot more. I want to make sure I catch them on the Super Chats, but I love House of Leaves. One of my favorite books of all time. It's really good. I mean, it is like dude being very like, oh, look, things are so important, and look at like art, and but it's like, it's also like very, very good. Such a great book. It's like such a, I love it's like very Eldritch horror. If you love Eldritch horror stuff, House of Leaves is fantastic. And it's also a book, like there's audiobook versions of the House of Leaves, and I'm like, how do you even do an audiobook version of the House of Leaves? I don't even know how that would work. Like the House of Leaves is very much a thing that only works as a book. And I don't want to spoil more than that. Go buy, if you want Eldritch horror, go buy House of Leaves. It's fantastic. Catherine Lambeth, heart to you, by the way. I've been unpacking all week. I'm giving away any books I can't bear to be without, which got me down to like 16 large boxes to 12. Progress. Yeah, I have like 7 bookshelves like in my apartment. Like I have a lot of books. So whenever I move to a new apartment, I have like 30 boxes that are all just books. It's very heavy. It's kind of backbreaking, to be honest with you. But yes. And by the way, I hope your movie's going well, Catherine Lambeth. Dynasty Girl, I highly recommend Legends Arceus. Even if you don't like Pokemon, it's a genuinely solid game. Yeah, I've heard very good things about Legends Arceus. I one of my best friends really adores it. I am not a big Pokemon fan. They're just not games, like outside of Pokemon Red and Blue and Gold and Silver when I was younger, but I loved those games. They were some of my favorite. And Crystal was probably my favorite Pokemon game of all time. I haven't really gotten back into Pokemon games in my adult life, so that's just not something that has super resonated with me. That being said, Legends Arceus has me kind of intrigued. It's kind of like Monster Hunter. The criticism, again, I haven't played the game, but the criticism that I had is like, it feels like a good first step game, but it doesn't go as far as people want it to. So I'm excited to play Legends Arceus, but it feels like one of those, like, it's a good, like, first draft kind of game, and they need to go further with it, which is something that I hear, like, Game Freak has a problem with, that they don't, like, iterate enough. So this is, like, a nice step in the right direction, but then I think the best version of it would be like 2 or 3 games down the road. So I might play Legends Arceus, but there's a lot of games that I need to play coming up. Like, I'm playing through the Dark Souls games right now. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out soon. Elden Ring is coming out soon. Lego Star Wars is coming out soon, which I want to play. There's like a bunch of games. There's a few other games too that on the horizon that I'm very excited about. So I am very excited to play a bunch of games. So Legends Arceus I might play, but I probably will wait a little bit to get to it. So Rachel Bow says, I might buy Forgotten City. It's all your fault. Buy Forgotten City. If I get you to do anything with the stream, buy Forgotten City. It is so good. I love the Forgotten City. It is so good. Oh yeah, I agree, Aronok. The multiplayer is great in Halo. I think the multiplayer is some of the best multiplayer that Halo has. My only knock against multiplayer is, like, they need to build out the systems for it. Like, 343 has kind of failed that game in terms of systems, and I do at the monetization. However, I will say at least I appreciate the monetization is, like, aesthetics only. If monetizations has to be in games, which for AAA stuff, I understand to a degree it being in there, because AAA games are expensive as all hell. And studios need to recoup some losses. So I mean, I don't like monetization at all. Like, period. Capitalism sucks. But if you are going to place it in your games, if you have it be just aesthetic based, that I can at least be like, okay, I don't need to have my character look very cool. I know some people like it. I don't really care if I have the plain, boring, whatever character. I'm just there to play the game. So as long as your monetization doesn't affect my gameplay, then I'm okay. Then okay with it is not the right word. I hate monetization in games in general. But if as long as it's just aesthetic, I can live with it a little bit better. Yes, Aronok, agreed with you. Bioshock is a masterclass in ludonarrative resonance. John Dorsey, heart to you, said, much love to the lady of the house. We stand ready to assist you. Well, thank you. Doing my Daenerys cosplay. I will take what is mine with fire and blood. That was not a good impression of her. That was if, like, she was very yelly. I am Daenerys Targaryen, and I'm gonna beat up everybody with my dragons. That's my That's my impersonation of Daenerys. That was bad. I'm sorry. Jay says, are you interested in role board games? Yes, I love board games. My other room is filled with board games. Speaking of which, the Game of Thrones board game, as much as Game of Thrones is its own sort of mess as a franchise right now, the actual Game of Thrones board game is one of my favorite board games of all time. Mission to Mars, Haunting Betrayal at the House on the Hill. That's the game I was thinking of. Some of my favorite board games. I'm a huge board game fan. My biggest sadness is because of the pandemic and also because I move a lot. I haven't had a lot of chance to have board game nights. Board game nights are some of my favorite things, and I haven't had a lot of chance to play them a lot lately. So I love board games, and I wish I had more chance to play with more people. Heart to you. Thank you so much, Chloe. You said the unproduced Bioshock movie actually had a great script by Joe and Logan. I have a copy. You should. Oh, I would love to read that. I would absolutely love to read that, Chloe. You don't have to send it to me, but I would love that. I love that. Sorry, I'm gonna quick catch up on the super chat so I can catch up on the chat. So apologies if I missed some of the chat here, but I'm just gonna quick try and catch up. Discographic Programmer said, I enjoyed your Mistborn reviews on the other channel. Can you convince you to read and review the Stormlight Archives? Yes, I will try and review the Stormlight Archives, but right now, and I'm behind on this, and I know, but my two next book review journeys that I'm currently going on is I'm going to be reviewing the Discworld books and the Wheel of Time books. So I'm going to be reviewing each of those, alternating. So that's going to be my first journey that I'm going to do, and then I'll probably get to the Stormlight Archives. So I do want to read more Brandon Sanderson, which I guess I technically will with the Wheel of Time books. But I want to get there. And then I also want to try and send her books from, other creators and stuff. Like, right now, I'm currently reading Truth in the Divine by Lindsay Ellis, which I'm really liking, by the way. I loved the first book in that series, and I'm really enjoying the second one. So that's what I'm currently reading. I just finished reading the first Wheel of Time book, which I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was actually really cool and scary, which I love scary fantasy. And so, and then next I'm reading the fourth book in the Discworld series. So that's my current thing. But I will get to the Stormlight Archives, but I'm a slow reader and I don't have a lot of time. But I'm trying. Are you a fan of Zathras? Zathras. Yes. Oh my gosh, Zathras. I haven't read Babylon 5 or watched Babylon 5. I'm excited to do the podcast because I have not watched Babylon 5 since I was in high school. I have all the DVDs of every single season, and I watched everything. Like I watched Crusade. I watched ooh, Bellamy, I didn't see you pop in. I'm making you a moderator. It's good to see you. But I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan. And I watched everything, like the Legend of the Rangers, the Crusade, I watched all of it, the whole 9. But I have not, I watched that back before I was in I think it was in middle and high school when I first watched it. So I haven't had a chance to rewatch it in forever, so I'm very excited about the podcast. So I'm very excited about that. You said, Jack the Gun, with live action Star Wars, I wait for it being jaw-droppingly cool when who shows up for the first time. Who? Are you talking about the person that showed up at the end of last episode? Because that was badass. I don't want to spoil, but the person who showed up at the end of last episode, who was an animated character but in live action, I was so excited. I'm unsure what you mean by who. I'm trying to think. Obi-Wan? I don't know. I'm curious to see what you mean, Jack the Gun. Because the character who showed up was badass. I loved it. But I'm curious. Let's see. Oh boy, Aronach, that must have been fun watching. Cause some of the I have not seen some of those. We're talking about Lady Night the Braves video on Holocaust cinema. And some of they talk about in that interview some bad Holocaust movies, really bad, and I have not seen them. Some of those sounded awful, just horrible. So the fact that you had to watch them, Aronach, power to you, because they sound atrocious, absolutely atrocious. So power to you. That moves, heaven help you. Dud669, heart to you. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sending you love. Let's see. Oh, Adrian, I'm sorry you can't give super chats. It's okay. I apologize, Adrian. You are lovely. Mwah. Jesse, we will. Okay, Aronach, I didn't know you were a big Lego Star Wars fan. When that game comes out, we'll play on stream together. And we'll play, not on stream together, but yes, Aronach, you and me, let's make a, platonic date to play Lego Star Wars together. We'll do that. I'm sure people will appreciate you, because I've been loving having you on my Saturday night gaming streams, which I hope everyone else has been appreciating too. Send some love to Aronach, by the way. But yes, Aronach, that would be a great game to play together. Also, I have not played Mundown. I know you loved it, but I will play it. It's, again, I have a list of games that I need to play. There's too many games to play, which is a good problem to have, but too many. My next game is probably Horizon Forbidden West, and then I'm probably going to play Dark Souls 2 is probably my progression of games right now. Horizon Forbidden West, Dark Souls 2, and that's about it for the foreseeable future. Morgan Bright, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. Can I ask about your weight loss journey? Yes, yeah, you are totally welcome to. I'm actually going to do a video. I've already started like putting notes down for a weight loss video. I want to make sure I do that correctly because my weight loss journey is one that I have an interesting connection to because it did sort of connect with my gender journey. And it's one of those, like, and also to this day, it still affects me. And I want to kind of be careful about how I talk about it because honestly, if I'm going to be honest with all of you, you know, I talk a lot about, like, my experience with gender dysphoria and being trans and stuff. And one of the things that I am most happy with for myself today is the fact that I have zero sense of doubt or shame or any pain relating to me being trans. In a world that so wants to define transness through pain and hardship, I have no sense of that whatsoever. And that makes me so proud. I say that because the one thing that is currently hardest for me to talk about in my life, you know, I'm open to talking about trans issues, anything. Like, I am an open book when it comes to my thoughts and feelings on stuff. Hey, Newt. What are you doing, bud? He's attacking something on the ground over there. I think the hardest thing for me to talk about is my weight loss and my relation to weight and to food. It's something that I don't think I've to deal with the most healthiest currently, and it's something I'm currently working about. And I want to do a video talking about it, but it's one that's probably going to be the hardest for me to talk about, if I'm being completely honest, on a personal level. So in terms of you asking me about my weight loss journey, you know, it's something I've talked about before, and I'll talk about more when it comes to present day. In terms of my weight loss journey in the past, I mean, I am very proud of is the fact that, like, I was very unhealthy and took not a lot of care of my body. And part of that was that I, you know, didn't eat healthily and I was very overweight for me. Again, this is no judgment on anyone's weight or what anyone's weight is comfortable for them. For me, it was very unhealthy and I didn't feel good in my body. But the fact that I came out as trans was something that very much, helped me have a better relationship to my body for obvious reasons. And part of that was treating my body healthier and, you know, losing a lot of weight and having a better healthy relationship. I don't really have a better relationship to food, and that's something I'll talk about elsewhere. But that's sort of the quick little weight loss journey for me. In terms of my relationship to food, I think part of it is just my analysis of, like, my relationship to it and fear of it and hatred of it but also, like, constant thinking about it. And it's something I'll talk about more in a video. I don't think I can really talk about it right now if I'm going to be honest with all of you. Yeah. So it's a whole thing. So apologies I can't answer that fully and completely, but I do want to talk about it at some point. John Vandal's heart to you. You said, in real life, the Roman emperor who ended the dialectic and persecution of Christians was named Galerius. There's an anti-Persian rebel pharaoh of Egypt named Kabash, which are two characters from the Forgotten City. That's awesome. You really love Forgotten City. I need to play Forgotten City on stream. It's just what I need to do, John. For you, John, I need to play Forgotten City on stream because it's one of my favorite games, and I would love to just talk with you about it because I feel like you give so many super chats, and I appreciate the super chats, but I feel bad because you're like, I want to talk about Forgotten City. I'm like, I don't remember everything specific about it, so I will do that soon for you. I will. I promise you. John Dorsey, heart to you. Thank you so much. You said, all right, serious question. What do you think about the Whoopi situation? I know. John, I'm not going to go over it again because I already spoke about it. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it, so I'm not distracting. I actually talked about it earlier on in the stream. So I don't want to go in full back into that because that's something that, like, I think the best thing to say is check my thoughts earlier in the stream, and the thing that I said then and the thing that I'll say now is I should not be the one that you ask about that necessarily. I think that you should talk to, you know, Black people and Jewish folks about that conversation around Whoopi because I think they'd have a better and more thorough take on it considering that it relates to them more in terms of who gets centralized in that conversation. That being said, my just brief take on it, and again, go check my other video, is that Whoopi, I feel like, missed certain things because she only sort of frames race in a certain specific way in terms of her relationship to her experiencing with it in the United States, which is entirely valid in terms of like her experience with being, considered, her being racialized and marginalized in the United States for that specific reason. 100% valid. And I'm sure she's definitely faced it as a black woman. 100%. But I think she missed discussion about how Jewish people also face that same sort of thing under, Nazi Germany and still to this day. And while we can also talk about being white passing and things like that, as well within that, and the different levels of like what that means and who can pass and who gets identified and things like that, Jewish people were racialized by the Nazis. And so I think that is not something that I don't think that Whoopi was trying to be like a Holocaust denier by any means. But I do think that she conceptualizes race in a way that is very specific to her experience that is entirely valid, but I think does not allow room for understanding that race is a concept often used by those in power to separate people, and race is itself it is a concept that is real in terms of its effects and how people consider it real, but a made-up concept that can be sort of used in different ways in different aspects. And black people have often been faced with the brunt of that, especially, in this colonialist world that we live in. But it is not exclusive to that, but it affects different communities in different ways in different contexts at different times. So that's my basic thoughts on Whoopi. To give more specific and nuanced takes on that, I would say go listen to black folks and Jewish folks on that, because they can give you a more specific, nuanced, thoughtful take on the discussions when it comes to the Holocaust that I, as someone who, tries to listen to Holocaust, stuff and learn more about the Holocaust, but who is not like the most knowledgeable on that situation specifically. And it's not my community specifically that I have that has a history with it, even though I do know LGBTQ people were hurt during the Holocaust. That I think those voices are just they're gonna be more knowledgeable and better to listen to in that whole situation. So that's my quick thoughts on Whoopi. Again, I talk about it more at the beginning of the stream, but that's sort of my quick thoughts on it. So. Catching up here. Oh, Thrawn. You're talking about Thrawn, Jack the Gun. Oh, yes. Thrawn in live action I am excited for Thrawn in live action. Whew, I didn't even think about that. Oh, that would be cool. I am sad because I do like the version of Thrawn that we get in Rebels. I'm glad that Thrawn's in the main canon now. But I was sad. I did finally read the Heir to the Empire series, Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire series, like a year or two ago. Like back when the pandemic started, I actually got the audiobooks that Mark Thompson wrote that were fantastic, by the way. If you want a good audiobook, the Heir to the Empire series that they just redid a few years ago, really good. And I loved Thrawn in the expanded universe. So I like the canon version of Thrawn, but I am saddened that we lost the expanded universe version of Thrawn because he was a little bit more interesting to me. But that being said, I'm so excited to see him in live action. That'll be cool. I hope they do that in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, because that'll be awesome. Chloe Hart, thank you so much for Superset. Script in the Twitter DM. I'm assuming you're talking about the Bioshock one. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, my friend. Mwah. Dud6699, heart to you. Thank you so much again for your super chat. You said, I joined your Patreon to watch your Matrix sequel vid. It was totally worth it. Thank you for that gift. But I stay for the Babylon 5 content. It was my favorite series. Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited for the podcast. I'm very excited to dive back into Babylon 5. I'll probably do a video on it too. I want to start doing a bit more like retrospective videos. Something that I do want to do because I've had a lot of fun. Like basically my sex in Star Trek is a very specifically focused on sex, but overall retrospective on Trek in general. And I want to do more of those. So be expecting probably more, like still amongst my like political content and things like that. But I'm probably going to do more, also more, show revisits and things. So I think first on the docket will probably be Pushing Daisies, then Stargate Atlantis, and then maybe Scrubs. But Babylon 5 will definitely be on there at some point. But I think if you're looking for something that I'm excited to talk about, Pushing Daisies will probably be the first one that I'm going to do. All right, I think I'm all caught up on the chat. Good. Morgan Bright, hard to you said, it's all good. I have the same gender weight connection at my max. I was over 355 excuse me, 3 to 55 pounds. I am doing much better now to lose weight to have safe surgery. Yeah, I know that that's a problem with a lot of trans people face, that in order to get many gender affirming surgeries, that you need to be within a certain weight, which sucks. So I'm sorry you're going through that, but I thank you, Morgan, right? Sending you heart. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's something that we see. I think either it's in a video I have coming out or I have talked about, but they've done studies on this, and they have found that there is a general something that happens, that many trans people before coming out are either underweight or overweight in an unhealthy way. Again, not trying to be fat phobic or, size phobic in any way. People can be the size that they want to be, that is most comfortable for them, and it can be any size. But there have been studies that have been found that many trans people before coming out will be in unhealthy weight situations, whether it be, too much or too little. Can be either way. And that after coming out, many trans people find a weight that is much healthier for them. So it's just an interesting thing, and I think it does kind of relate to the fact that a lot of trans people don't care about their bodies, and then when they're finally giving a chance to actually see themselves for the first time because they're able to transition, then they start actually taking care of themselves, and that comes out in not just transitioning in terms of gender stuff and estrogen or testosterone or whatever, but in or changing social things like pronouns and stuff, but in just taking better care of your health. For all the stuff that I have related to food, I am a much healthier person today than I was before I came out. Like leaps and bounds healthier. So, Jessie, who's your favorite LGBTQ character of all time? Mine is Hakura from Sailor Moon. I haven't watched Sailor Moon in a long time. I don't remember much of it. I watched it as a kid, but I don't remember. Favorite LGBTQ character? That's kind of hard for me to say, because there's a lot that I like. There are many that I like. I think I'm not going to say my favorite, but the person who comes to mind, who I think I relate to most, who is an actively out LGBTQ character, is Nomi on Sense8. I wouldn't say Nomi is necessarily my favorite, necessarily. I'd have to sit and look at a list, but Nomi, I think, is the character that I probably relate to the most. I think a lot of her experience that she articulates in that show relates to me. She's also a big nerd. She's faced a lot of similar experiences of with bullying and things like that. She's also someone who tries to connect to other people through her trans experience, but doesn't let her trans experience isolate her, as she allows it to let her connect with others, as that whole series about, for all identities, not just trans identities. The whole show is about people using their identities to connect with others and not to isolate themselves into their own insular identity, but to connect with other identities through their own personal experience. And I think I connect with Nomi so much for that. And I love that she's not defined by her transness, but neither is it unimportant to her. But she's not solely defined by being trans either. So I think Nomi would probably be very up there in terms of my personal favorite trans people, and definitely the one that I am probably most relate to on a personal level. Again, I'd have to sit and think and look at a list of favorite characters. What is Newt playing with? I can see him in the background of my video. Oh, it's it's just a little piece of trash or whatever he's just playing with. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, I think Nomi would probably be very, very close to my heart. I'm probably gonna stay I know I've gone over than my normal time period, but I'll stay on for another 5-10 minutes. John Dorsey, heart to you. You said, this is just because you're fantastic. Sporting this kind of content is what YouTube is all about, but you want to wield the shield. I won't object. I won't wield the shield right now, but I will wield it for you next time, John. Just because the reason being is I'm currently you can't see it. This is a whole cosplay, and there's a whole dress. There's a whole thing going on here, and I kind of have to disentangle myself to get up. So, John, I will wield the shield next time for you. Just remind me. So I am owed you, and you don't have to do a super chat for it. Just remind me that I owe you a shield wielding. But today there's a little lot going on for me to stand up at the moment and disentangle myself and then come back. Captain Omni, heart to you. Thank you so much. You said thoughts on the upcoming Star Trek Resurgence game that's basically going to be a Telltale game. I'm very excited about it. I'm worried. I'm very excited about Star Trek Resurgence game, and I'm hoping I get to review it for GameSpot. We'll see if that actually happens. They probably have other people to review for them, but because I haven't done a review for them, I'm hoping I can convince them to let me. Regardless, that's beside the point. I'm very excited about that game because I hope it leads to more Star Trek games. My only worry looking at it, I think a Telltale game is a perfect type of game for Star Trek. I think the Mass Effect structure would be a better Star Trek game to make. Like make Star Trek a Mass Effect game just with less combat, because I think Star Trek shouldn't have that much combat in it. It should have some, but not a bunch. So I think that Mass Effect game would work really well. But Star Trek is open to myriad stuff, and I think a Star Trek Telltale game also makes perfect sense. Also, being a post-Nemesis Star Trek game also has me very excited. I think my only worry for it, besides, like, hopefully the story's not bad, is that in the trailer they released, they had some gameplay segments. So, like, just watching it like a normal Telltale game is good, but there's some gameplay segments where, like, you're scanning with a tricorder and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't look kind of fun. That looks kind of weird. So I'm hoping that the game is not a lot of that, or that stuff is not as bad as it looks. It didn't look particularly great. But I really hope, the rest of it, like the Telltale stuff, like picking story choices, that's some stuff I'm really excited to see a Star Trek game do. Also, there's the Expanse game coming out too that I'm very pumped for, with featuring Drummer, like Kamina Drummer. Like, I love Telltale type games, and the fact that they are doing a Star Trek one and an Expanse one. And the Expanse one is about freaking Drummer, my polyamorous, like, LGBTQ queen. I love her. Drummer is probably my favorite character in all of freaking the Expanse. I adore her to death. And I'm very, 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 very excited to play that game. So, more than likely, unless I'm, like, reviewing it for GameSpot and, like, have to play it off stream. You're being weird today, my friend. Unless I have a good night, Aeronaut. Love you. You're wonderful. But unless I have to like review it before I'm allowed to play it on stream, I will be playing both those games on stream. So we'll see how it goes. Captain Omniheart, you said my favorite LGBTQ character has to become Alan Scott, the OG Green Lantern. The one with, like, he has like the weird, like, red shirt and everything. I love that. As he's my favorite Green Lantern, now he's gay. He has become my new favorite. I knew that Alan Scott was gay. I haven't read much stuff with him. I've mostly seen Alan Scott as he's popped up in, like, other stories, like Justice League stories or greater DC comic stories. I actually haven't read exclusively Alan Scott stories. I've read a bunch of the Green Lantern run, but most of the stuff that I read was Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern. I'd start from Jeff Johns' run and forward, and then I also read the initial Kyle Rayner stories way back in the day. So the ones where Kyle Rayner, where the fridging metaphor, like the trope of fridging a woman and shoving her in the fridge, that comes from Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern's original Green Lantern stories. And I actually read that entire run. Great run outside of the fridging of the girlfriend, which was extreme. But I actually really like Kyle Rayner quite a bit. And also the end of that with the what was it, Parallax? The original arrival of Parallax, Hal Jordan sort of destroying the Green Lantern world at the end of that storyline was really, really interesting. So I've read that entire sort of run of stuff. It's really good, but I haven't read much Alan Scott, which is a knock on me for having not read it. What are you looking at, Newt? He's so jumpy. He gets in these moods where he just gets very jumpy, right, bud? Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about you. Hi. Yeah, he's in a mood. He's in a cat mood. I love it, his little face. He's just like looking. Come here, bud. Come and say hi. Come on. Yeah. Come and say hi to everyone. Yes, who's a good boy? Who's my little buddy? Aw. I love you, buddy. You're lovely. Alright. So, let's see. I think I might head out because I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm probably gonna head out and have some dinner. So I'm gonna head out, everybody. I think I'm all caught up on Super Chats. Did I miss any Super Chats? Let me know if I did. I'm just quick looking. Oh! I'm sorry, I missed 3 Super Chats. Let me just quick do those, and then I'm probably gonna head out, my friends. S Taham 10, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate you. Rainy, heart to you, said your video streams have been really nice to listen to while drawing. I'm making Star Trek fan art right now and saw you were streaming and thought, oh, how perfect, Rainy. Oh, wonderful. I love that. Love Star Trek fan art. Star Trek fan art, I like fan art in general. I adore fan art. It's been some really good fan art lately of Star Trek fan art. I saw some Lower Decks fan art the other day on Twitter that was like, dang, this is really good. So that sounds like lovely. Well, thank you. I'm glad my streams are helpful to you, my friend. Dud6699, you said a plea for doing a Pat Labor anime content. Sounds good, Dud6699. I will consider that. I haven't done a lot of anime content. I need to do more. To be honest with you. Captain Omni, heart to you. He said, Alan Scott originally operated in Gotham, and Vandal Savage was originally in his Rogues Gallery. Solomon Grundy's also made. Oh, that's interesting. See, it's interesting when you learn these sort of stuff, like how characters originally start off in certain places and then sort of get brought into other things. Like Vandal Savage is his own sort of villain on his own terms now, and same with Solomon Grundy, though Solomon Grundy's now more associated with Batman. So that's interesting. It's always interesting to look at the history of stuff, like where these things come from and go. So, all right, everybody. I love you all. I adore you all. Just quick announcements before I end the stream. Tomorrow, Matrix video. I'm going to share the link because the wonderful Jedi Indiana Jones is sadly not here because I know that they do it often. But I am going to quick share the link to the Matrix video that's going to go up tomorrow, which I'm very excited. Please, 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 please. If you all liked my Sexton Star Trek video, this one is along the same lines of production and things of that nature. So please check out this Matrix video. I just shared the link in the chat. Check it out tomorrow. It's going to be live premiering in 14 hours at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It's a 2-hour video, so come and go as you please. I'll be there in the live chat, and I love seeing and hearing people's reactions to the video as it goes up. So I'm excited to hear what people think of it. But if not, it'll be up after that in perpetuity. So watch it when you can. I would be very much appreciative of it. Leaving a like and a comment does really help me out for that. What else? I will be doing a video game stream probably Saturday night. I'm not sure what game I'll probably play because I want to play Horizon Forbidden West, but it's not out yet, so that'll probably be the game I play the week after next. But from this Saturday, I'm not sure what I'll play yet. Maybe I'll play more Jedi Fallen Order. Maybe Aronach will join. We'll see. Or someone else. I don't have anyone currently planned to guest, but I do have a guest planned for the week after next for my Saturday stream. Like I said, I'm going to try and have more guests on my Saturday night streams. So I do have another YouTuber who I haven't confirmed 100% yet, but I'm hoping he's coming on then. So otherwise I'll announce it then. So 10 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow for Matrix. Saturday night I'll be doing my video game stream as per usual. And then I have videos coming after that. But beyond all of that, that's just sort of the main stuff coming up in the near future. Until then, love to you all. Heart to you all. I adore you all. Mwah. Have a wonderful evening and night, and I will see you all. I will see you all tomorrow or Saturday. Mwah. Have a good night, everyone.